Hello to all the people who are now watching this from the start after missing the beginning of it. I know who you are. You're some of my favourite people. But don't tell the people who are here normally on time. Unlike me, who's an hour late. Click the share button and send it out to the boys. And by the boys, I mean the degenerates on the old Outer Circle Discord. Hi, degenerates. Hi, Thomas. How you doing? Welcome, welcome, welcome. Sorry I'm late. I do apologise. Oh, fresh pack of brushes. It's always good fun. Just throw it away, why don't I? Oh, Actually, no, we're going to use this one to start with. And it's not that one. I'm picking up the wrong paints all over the place. What are you working on today then, Thomas? Anything good? You got any good toys? Jogan, how you doing, buddy? Do you want to stop moving around? Thank you. What's the one? Wow, that really hasn't mixed well, has it? Salamanders with heavy volkites. I do like me some heavy volkites. And I'm rather partial to some salamanders too. Almost out of Tamiya clear green though. That's no good. That's no good. What have I got? I got Tamiya clear red here. I got the green somewhere. I got the blue too. I like the yellow. The yellow, the Tamiya clear yellow is actually how I did the gold on this guy. I need to figure out exactly what I did for it so I can recreate it. But I know I did like it. Internet Man, nice to see you, nice to see you. So, Yogan, Internet Man, what are you guys working on tonight? Anything good? Anything funky? Anything troublemaking? How's that mixed together any better? It doesn't look it. Well, there's only one thing I can do. Balls. I've got balls. Balls of steel. I'm sorry for the late start, guys. I was around my parents' house because my father's been up in Edinburgh and I hadn't seen him in a while, so I thought I'd go over and see him. And we ended up having a 3-hour-long argument about COVID. Homework, making up creature designs. Nice, nice. It's been a while since I've done anything like that. What was the last creature design thing I did? I think the last creature design thing I did was I was writing a short fantasy story, or the beginning of it. And the main character was a farmer looking after his crops, and part of the crops were they had these big, like, flightless birds that were like a cross between like flamingos and storks, but they ate slugs, and it was the giant mother slug that I created, great big orange and grey thingy. How have I lost the Marinos painting? Because it's this guy. How does a COVID argument last 3 hours? COVID because I was basically trying to explain to him how censorship works, how, you know, if you completely remove people's ability to find alternative information, of course they're never going to hear it, because he's like, well, I've never heard this, I'm like, yes, of course, because you only get your information from one source. And then he's like, oh, well, how can you prove that that source is legitimate? How can you prove that this source is legitimate? And I'm like, you can't prove any of it's legitimate, that's the problem. And it just went on and on and on. Why is this paint not mixing? Where isn't... Oh, this one will do. Yeah. But yeah, same Mike. He only uses the BBC really, but even he will admit that they're wrong about everything. I'm like, okay, so what do you accept as right? No. I think the truth of the matter is that he's kind of a little bit afraid. I mean, my mum says that he does, when they're alone, kind of say how actually I'm right on a lot of things, but he just doesn't seem to be able to sort of say it publicly. But I get it, you know, he's 70 odd years old, so he's kind of that generation that can't really... I should try during the Orange Thousand Suns. Oh, you people. You people. Stop harassing my Thousand Suns. There's not enough of us playing Thousand Suns anyway. Not that I play them. Now, what do we think? Is this going to be mixed together enough to actually be usable, or is it still going to separate and be a horrible pile of gumph? That's better. That's better. That was one paint I used to like, was GW Silvers. GW Silvers were always really good, and this one has just been trash. Yeah. Need to find my conversions for the contest. I don't know if it's a contest. I'm assuming you're referring to the Outer Circles conversion thing. I think that's not a contest. I think it's just Maka wants to do a kind of breakdown and discussion and like comment on people's conversions, which is cool. You know, I like that. And I have submitted I wouldn't say a lot of models, but I've submitted 5 or 6 models to him. I decided not to submit any of my late war Imperial Fists because I know that he'd probably tear me a new one. And rightfully so, you know. I'm trying to think how much like weathering I should do on these guys, if I should do like chipping and stuff, or if I should leave them as kind of pristine and clean. What do you guys think? Pristine and clean, or super heavy chipped and weathered? It certainly does help me hide the mistakes a bit better. Someone's letting off fireworks outside. 'Tis the season. Yeah, around here, late October, early November, it just becomes fireworks season. It doesn't matter if it's actually fireworks night or if it's Halloween. They're just for like 3 weeks, almost solid. People are letting off fireworks randomly around here. which I don't have a problem with. I like fireworks. They're running out of purple non-oil dips. So these guys aren't... these guys are representing loyalists at Istvan, so they should be the most Empress children of Empress children, basically. That's why I've not done any like black panels on them, and I've not done like lots of white on them. Okay. Change of plans. This silver is covering like a pig. So I'm going to use the TT Combat one because it's better. Sent mine in, converted, almost right hand and Zyphus. Sure, cool. Man, those guys need some like actual miniatures. Like we need Raven Guard, we need Salamanders, we need more Iron Hands. They're such a big part of the setting that just doesn't have anything there. I mean, come on, GW, it's your own setting. You guys can... yeah, so these are mid-battle. This is like the last stand at Corral City sort of thing. Yeah, these guys are going to represent the forces of... Was he the Phoenix? Was it the Eagle King or the Phoenix King? Basically, the last remnants of the Wings of the Phoenix, the elite assault regiment that stayed loyal. So they'll be made up of different units on the ground, but it's mostly going to be assault marines. God, you can really tell the difference between the two tones of silver on that. Yeah, so the plan is at least 2 full-size squads of assault marines, command squad with jump packs, Praetor with jump pack, and that'll be the start of this army. Beyond that, I don't know what I'm doing. Although I have finalised the army list for my Alpha Legion, and that is 2 15-man squad tactical squads, a 10-man heavy weapons squad, a 5 or 10-man, where is it? Find the old lists. Where is it? I could never find the channels on this damn thing. There it is. So it's a saboteur with a power spear, basically, 3 apothecaries, 2 Castaferum dreadnoughts with flamestorm cannons and power fists, havoc launchers, 2 tactical squads, 15 guys, with power lances on the sergeants, tactical support squad with Volkite cavaliers or Calviers, I don't know how they pronounce it, and a 10-man heavy support squad with plasma cannons, and a 10-man Invictus Suzerain squad with 2 Thunderhammers as the thingy of Rewards of Treachery. And that's like 2,000 points for a Zone Mortalis list. And for the Dreadnoughts, I'm going to use the Salamanders box Dreadnought, the body for that, because it's got the nice like dragon details on it that I think will look really nice as Salamander as Alpha Legion details. The idea of Legion running out of purple at the end of them en masse never added up to me. It's justify the 40k scheme, black instead of gold. Yeah, well, yeah, that was kind of the idea, was to justify the colour scheme shift. and that the idea that their paint job was always a little bit special because it was quite an expensive and rare paint. But yeah, I mean, you kind of had to figure out how you were going to get them to the, 40k colour scheme eventually. It's pretty easy for the Death Guard, it's just they got dirty. The Death Guard are still in the same colours, they're just filthy. The Word Eaters, they were relatively easy, they're just covered in blood. The Night Lord one is a bit interesting, because all they really did was transition from silver trimming to gold trimming. So that doesn't really make much sense. So my justification for it is that gold is the veterans colour. And the reason that they've all shifted is because they're all claiming to be veterans now. So yeah, my 2 veteran squads have got gold trim, the characters have got gold trim, but then the less elite, less senior guys have got silver trim. I don't think I could ever really do Alpha Legion, they're so boring. I think that any army can be boring, it's all down to how you decide to do them. If you find them boring, try and do them in a way that's not traditional for that legion. Like, I find White Scars kind of boring, with the idea of nothing but jet bikes. Which is why I decided to do White Scars in like the most un-White Scars fashion. That's why I've done like Raven Guard in the same thing. They're all heavy support. That's because it's not what you'd normally see from them. Pink showing up was because a huge chunk of the Legion was still in purple and was caught in a huge chemical spill that turned it pink. Very Acme of you. It's pink because they wanted to remember the krill from the krill farmers they butchered. Because that was always the original fluff, was that they spent the entire siege butchering krill farmers. I don't like having character that goes against the character of the Legion. Well, it's all personal choice, really. But you have to remember, they are a Legion. They are still a united tactical fighting force. So the White Scars would not be an effective force if they can't get to their enemy. Not every planet is open plains where they can chase them down on bikes. There's cave systems, there's starships, there's underground bunkers, there's shield walls and all that sort of stuff. So they need to break that stuff down. Now they can do it, in a White Scars fashion. Fast moving things like rhinos with their heavy weapons teams in to rapidly reposition. Tanks, aircraft, a battery of basilisks placed into position by a Thunderhawk transporter and then rapidly moved out of the way to avoid counter battery fire. Deep striking Terminators is better than them foot slogging. I mean, the Alpha Legion, for example, would have artillery. They'd have a company dedicated to siege warfare because they'd have to have it. They're fighting the Alpha Legion, you're expecting them to behave in a certain manner. If they just turned up with 300 Medusas and started battering your walls down after you've spent all your resources shoring up all the ways they can sneak into your fortress, you're going to be kind of red in the face. But the beauty of this game is you can do things the way you want to do them. So if you want to do a White Scars bike army, you go for it. For example. I just had a thought, like an Imperial Fist jet bike army. I don't think anyone would have ever done that. The whole thing is that they're vague and bland and woo. yeah. No, I get that. I like that they don't know enough about themselves as well. That, you know, they're all the fleets of the Alpha Legion are separate, and each one thinks they're the main fighting force, but they're not, and they don't know actually how many of them there are, and all that sort of stuff. That's kind of cool. It's like the idea that Alpharius has gone out and started recruiting from day one, and is just cranking out legions of troops left, right and centre. Boomer juice. I need to find some good Mark IV Marines to do the Assault Marines for this. And I will probably get them all printed by Gator and do them all at the same time. Get them done at the same time as the what was it? The Sons of Aura I was planning to do. Because I could just order an absolute shit ton of the same Marines. Because that Sons of Aura army needs 64 Assault Marines. Man, I'm so glad I don't do drugs or drink alcohol anymore, or have a car, or any other expenses that is just not miniatures, effectively. Don't buy video games at full price. This gets pretty much all my income that is disposable. What little disposable income I have. Oh, I absolutely agree that, yeah, there's a lot of very lazy writing about the Alpha Legion. I think there's a lot of lazy writing about all the legions. Like, I just saw recently that there was this thing about after Chthoniya was destroyed, that apparently the Lion just left all of the survivors from his own forces that were still on the planet when it died, and he just left all the Imperial Fists who were there. There was like 250,000 Imperial Fists fighting, or 20,000 Imperial Fists. 20,000 Imperial Fists fighting on Chthoniya, and he just left them floating in the void in their evacuation ships. Like, I get it. You're trying to show that the Lion is impulsive and he's angry and he's desperately out for vengeance and all this stuff, but that's just so dumb. Yeah, GW's writing has never been top tier. I remember reading a book from Games Workshop many years ago. This is, I think, before Black Library was officially a thing, actually. Called Shadow Warriors, I think it was. I need to go find that, because I just can vaguely remember some of the details, and I just want to go back and read it. I had another one that was called Beast in Velvet, that was all about, I think, a werewolf or some sort of monster in the Empire. It might have been a vampire. And it was just, you know, killing people in, like, Altdorf or something. Has flashes of brilliance and then lots of dots. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. One of the biggest problems that the Black Library has, in my opinion, is its inability to produce books on demand. If you went out and decided, hey, I want to get into this Horus Heresy thing, I'm going to go buy the books, you can, as far as I'm aware, only buy the first 5 books of the series and, like, the last 5 books. All the stuff in the middle is out of production, which is a huge problem. Like, how the hell am I supposed to sell my friends on starting that? Hey, come read this 50-book series. If you're lucky, you can find 2/3 of them on eBay. Just make them print on demand. Give us a 180-day delivery like everything else. And just do it that way. I think every Legion has a book their fans agree to ignore. Cuff Reflections. Yeah. I don't agree with that. Because I don't think there's a White Scars book I'd tell you to miss. I think all the White Scars books are pretty good. Although I haven't read Warhawk yet, so... No, 50 books is not a bit much. I think 50 books is fine. I just think you need to know that where the kind of main story goes. Like, the first 3 is great, you know. Horus Rising, False Gods, and Galaxy in Flames is brilliant because they continue on one after the other. We've got the same characters, and it's a story that just continues. The problem then comes with every other book in the series, because it's all over the place. You know, if it was all separated into, like, triads, you know, into trilogies. So we had the, you know, Horus Rising trilogy, and then we had, I don't know, the Ultramarines trilogy with 3 books about Guilliman and stuff like that, and then we had 3 Blood Angels books, you know, with Sanguinius, and 3 Emperor's Children, that sort of thing. And it had a story we could follow, and then they tied into each other, but the way it was done is it just seems all over the place. And there's no easy way for someone to see what book they should read next. It just seems to be like everyone just kind of agrees. Read the first 3 and then just pick the ones for your Legion. And that's it. Which is, you know, that's great. But then you could end up with, like, Descent of Angels. Yeah, like I said Rutger, the first 3 books. Like, if I was to tell anyone, hey, I want to learn about the Horus Heresy, what should I read? The first 3 books. Like, literally the first 3 books, and then that's it. Then just, like, pick one you like the look of the cover, and then that's it. Which is not great. Like, I like... the Star Wars, the old Star Wars expanded universe. It was split into short, you know, stories like the Timothy Zahn trilogy, and then, you know, the Kevin J. Anderson trilogies, the X-Wing series, that sort of thing. But they all kind of fit into the same story. They referenced each other. There were standalone books in there. But one thing they did is they made sure that they had a complete timeline in the back of the book. So you buy the newest one, you get the timeline, and you know which book goes where. And you didn't really need to read it all, because a lot of the time it was information presented in a way that it would be known to sort of the public. Oh, Warlord Zinj is doing this. Okay, who's Warlord Zinj? Well, I know he's a bad guy because that's kind of given by the name. And they'll usually reference the fact that he's, you know, the leader of the Imperial, of a renegade force of Imperials. Okay. I pretty much got all I need to know from that. He's, you know, he's a bad guy that's causing people a lot of trouble. And if I wanted to know more, I can go find books with more information on him. Then realise he's basically the Star Wars equivalent of Harry Mudd. I'm on the Night Lord book run now. I sometimes miss out on ones that are less than 10 hours long. Got to grab those small gems. If you're looking for a small gem, check out Night Thane. It's an Ultramarines book, and it is hands down one of my favourites. It's a bunch of Ultramarines fleeing Calth, I think it is, and they have to take refuge on an underwater or a like seabed promethium refinery that appears to have been abandoned. And that is all I'm going to say about it, but it is a really good one. Also, hi Bando. Hi Rutger, how are you doing? I'm sad about the Alpha Legion since I made a character I thought was cool as an Alpha Legion Psyker that only communicates through telepathy and wearing a silver death mark. I like the sound of that, that's pretty cool. Yeah, I dislike it when a faction is like, we absolutely do not have any of X. You know, like the Black Templars, like, we have no librarians. Well, okay, it's kind of fluffy, but it's also kind of limiting. Because the idea of a, like, Merlin-type character for the Black Templars is kind of cool. Good evening, says Matthew Eglin. Good evening, Mr. Eglin. How are you? It's been ages since I saw you. Have you seen the infamous chart of all the Horus Heresy series? It's a mess. Yes, it is a mess. It's opinion. It's obviously, you know, it's Reddit. It's all come off Reddit. And I'm surprised those people can even read. I will admit there are certain books in the series that are incredibly difficult to read. I really struggled with... what was it called? It's the one about the giant ship, and I can never remember the name of it. Battle for the Abyss. It's got one of my favourite covers. Yeah, it was too much of a slog. And it just didn't capture my attention or my imagination, and really it was just like, it was just all a bit convenient and convoluted and moustache twiddlingly evil. I guess if I view the Alpha Legion as a blank slate, I can mould them into what I want. Well, that's exactly it, isn't it? You know, they had no set doctrine. They could do anything and be anything. So someone was like, oh, the Alpha Legion are turning up, and a bunch of guys turned up who looked nothing like the last lot. I was reading the wiki entry for them, and one of the colours it describes them as wearing was red. It's a crustacean red, like a pinky red. I've never seen a red Alpha Legion army. Kind of want to, though. They're described as being copper, they're described as being purple, they're described as blue, green, black, plain ceramite grey, all sorts. I'd love to see some sort of... you know how, like, the Imperial Fists have the last wall protocol, where all of the chapters of the Imperial Fists are supposed to come back to defend Terra? I would love to see something like that for the Alpha Legion, where you have all these different war bands of all different colours and schemes and types and all that sort of thing, all have to come back for, like, the ultimate showdown. But I'd also love to see a book series in the 41st millennium that showed a civil war in the Alpha Legion. I'd love the answer to be, are they traitor or are they loyalists? Be, yes. And there's like, half of them are loyalists, half of them are traitors, and they're fighting each other as much as they're fighting everyone else out in the galaxy. So, the loyalists, you know, Alpha Legion, might still completely sabotage the Imperium, because they're thinking 12 moves ahead that's going to sabotage something for the Chaos Alpha Legion. That's the sort of thing I'd love to see, is that sort of storyline. You know, I just think it'd be really, really cool, personally. Leave those bad boys to dry a bit while I get on with this guy. Doo-doo. I haven't got a clue what I'm doing with this guy, so I'm just going to paint and see where it goes. Cool guys, bad guys, and explosions as far as the eye can see. That is a slice of internet history there. Internet man, thank you for sharing. And if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, you just have to search the Ultimate Showdown. Just see what we did on the internet before we had access to memes. I thought painting black near purple was stressful. I feel old now. Yeah. Oh, you want to feel old? The Badgers song, you know, Badgers, mushroom, is 20 years old now. It came out this month in 2003. Mr. Rogers would solo 40k, absolutely. Then again, so would Chuck Norris. And Lopan, Superman, and every single Power Ranger. Don't forget Spock, the Doc. Spock, the Rock, Doc Ock, and Hulk Hogan. I'm going to end up singing that song and I'm going to get a strike for doing it, so I'm not going to do it. So there's good news about the old Heresy Thursday videos going away, is they can't be monetized because of that Feliz Noirs, whatever it is, Feliz Noirs music. They're ineligible for monetization. Although that didn't have any impact on my decision to stop covering Heresy Thursday. I'm not that petty. How would I do a crustacean red? I would probably mix something like Adriatic skin tone with Viscera red. and I would do that. So that makes it slightly pinky. And I'd do it over a white undercoat to get it nice and bright. But this is Talawakan red, and it's a nice sort of burgundy, wine-ish red, and I like it. It's very nice. Be good for flesh tearers. Good for flesh tearers. Good for Tyranids. Good for Sisters of Battle. It's a nice sort of deep purpley kind of red. Would do really well for Sisters of Battle robes if you were doing the Order of Our Martyred Lady, because it's not as bright as like a blood red sort of thing. Also, if you could give me a source for it, because I know every time I bring it, everyone would bitch about it. Yeah, I just searched the Alpha Legion on the 40k wiki. I can't remember. I'm sure someone can post a link to it. But it's just the standard 40k wiki is where I got it from. And there's a little bit at the bottom that's like colour schemes, and it talks about how they have no official colour scheme for their legion, and reports have shown them being in all sorts of different colours. The Alpha and Omega Project, well, there's a perfectly named person for what we're talking about. It's like there's also that bit with the Imperial Fists, where the librarians are allowed out of their prison, and it talks about how they're in different colours, wearing blacks and greys and blues. That's pretty cool. As I've said multiple times on stream before, I've got no problem with alternate schemes for the heresy, as long as you guys can back it up with a single bit of fluff that justifies it. You know, here's some green Thousand Suns because, you know, Arzak Chuckymon led his battalion, and they were known as the Emerald Dragons or some shit like that, and they all wore green. I'm like, okay, cool, let's do metallic green Thousand Suns. I will defend this now to the hilt. And I want that to be a thing, because I want to do green Thousand Suns. I think it would look really cool. Do you reckon the Primarchs had arguments over the colouring of their legion? Like, you can't colour your legion that legion. I'm this legion. You know, my guys are red. You can't be red. Like, the old, what they called? Iron Warriors wanted to be yellow. But the Emperor wouldn't let them because Rogel Dawn had already picked yellow. Actually, what would have happened is Perturabo would have picked yellow first, and Rogel Dawn would have complained until it was switched over. Knight Errant army, is it possible? Why not? You could do a Knight Errant army. Just, you know, all in Mark 6 armour. Painted grey with the sigil of Malcador, which is the green, like, proto-inquisitional eye. So yeah, I can't see why that's not possible at all. He did send them out in groups. Yeah, maybe he sent them out to do something that was, seriously dangerous. It needed a decent deployment. I think that's kind of what they were hinting at. The Thousand Sons at the Siege of Chthoniya being were like Malcador's lapdogs, effectively. I'm loving this red for White Scars. I think it looks great. This is making me wish I'd kept the new Mark 6. Well, Jürgen, the good news is there's a lot of them around. If you want some, I'm sure you can find them. I need just another 4 Mark 6 Marines to complete what I'm working on, and then I will probably use the rest of them for some word bearers. Because I've got a pack of word bearers Mark 4 heads from Forge World a while back, so I'll probably use them for that. Ooh. Oh, that's not good. Sorry guys, can't let you see anything, can I? That looks fine. Nearly got me. Nearly got me there. Whistling the old Ultimate Showdown. Take the lemons, make lemonade. Exactly. Probably do Pride of the Legion. Yeah, I mean, if I was going to do a Knights Errant army, I would do 2 max size units of veterans with like the most upgrades you can get your hands on. Just absolutely like tool them up to a point where it's just not feasible. Like Magna Combi weapons out the wazoo, lightning claws, that sort of thing. Charnable weapons, that sort of thing. But each one would be his own unique like character. I would treat each model as a character. So, the guy with the lightning claws might be a blood angel, the guy with the charnable axe might be a space wolf. And then maybe a unit of Terminators. I think the Indomitus ones would be cool, like fluffy, because they've got this advanced Terminator army. Armor. But I don't like how it's a troops choice and how limited it is on what equipment it can take. So I'd probably run them as like Tartarus or as Cataphracti. And then obviously character, Praetor, command squad, and then maybe like an assault squad or a special weapon squad or a heavy weapon squad or something like that. But I'd definitely be doing it as a smaller, like Zone Mortalis army. I wouldn't be doing vehicles. Maybe as an allied detachment to a larger force, that sort of thing. As an allied detachment to like a militia force, that could be quite cool. Hmm. Casting quality of this model is awful, and this is all, everything on this is legit GW. It's all forged on. It's just, it's crap. Yeah, I went through a phase where I wasn't buying any recasts. I was only buying, like, if it was out of production stuff. I was very sort of hoity-toity about it. I didn't, oh my god, don't buy recasts, they're so bad. Now I'm just like, nah, try that. I'd like to do a bunch of Mark 6 Marines as Crimson Fists, as the old Rogue Trader battles, or the farm scenario. That'd be cool, bro. I don't have a problem with people running 30k lists as 40k armies. As long as, you don't stick it in like 30k spaces, Just keep it on like the 40k pages, make sure people know it's a 40k army but you're using 30k rules. I'm fine with that. Crimson Fist is an army I'd love to do. I'd definitely like to do them because I actually painted my stores Crimson Fists when the Assault at Blackreach came out. So it's always an army I've wanted to go back to. I just don't know when that's going to happen. Okay, let's get back to these purple boys and tidying up their black. Hi Silas, how you doing? I should get your parcel posted out tomorrow, as I will have a chance to go to the post office. Unfortunately, it closes before I finish work every night. And my housemate is less than reliable when it comes to sending him off with parcels, so I wasn't going to trust him with that. I'd say Indomitus are better Tartarus proxies. Yeah, I think that's what I would do. That's what I currently do with my Imperial Fists, is if I'm writing any lists for them, I proxy them as Tartarus pattern. It's a bit annoying, like, why move them to troops like that? It was such a better system before. The only thing they needed was either a price drop to balance out the lack of special rules, or their own special rule, and I think it should have been they could have Deep Strike. Because that's what we use them for in 40k, is, Terminator's Deep Strike. So make it so they were better at it than any other suit of armour. That was their special rule, Tartarus is faster, Cataphract is tougher, and Indomitus can Deep Strike without any special requirements. No need for characters or special equipment sort of thing. But I get it. They wanted to separate it away from 30k because it's a 40k kit, rather than releasing a 40k or 30k version and making even more money from us. Seriously, they could have done a Indomitus pattern upgrade kit with a set of arms, a set of shoulder pads, a bare head, 5 combi weapons, and a Reaper autocannon, and then just shown, done an article with a bunch of conversions using the different version kits available, and that's it. We would have just kept buying them. I mean, I know I would have. I haven't got any of the Leviathan ones yet. Still haven't got around to buying any of those. I think I won't bother with adding them to my Imperial Fist because it's just going to look weird with them like stood next to each other. I've got 50 of the old school ones, so adding any of the new ones to my Imperial Fist is going to look weird. I'll just finish them off, stick them in the display cabinet, and that'll be my Imperial Fists done until I start a second Imperial Fists army. Wouldn't an Indomitus Terminator for 30k just be the same though, just without the Crux Terminatus? It is, yeah, basically they are. They were just any other Terminator armour. And that was it. You could take any Terminator equipment that you could take on any of the other Terminator squads. They just had a different armour type. You know, the Stormbolter wasn't invented for a... There is a bug crawling over this Space Marine. Get fucked, Tyranid. Yeah, the Stormbolter wasn't invented for quite some time. I think Ark and Land had a prototype for a Stormbolter, but it was nowhere near ready for production. So yeah, they needed combi bolters swapping out, and yeah, the Crux removing effectively, just to avoid argument's sake. So yeah, a single upgrade kit would have been fine. Would have cemented the kit still being usable, given us lots of new options, and probably sold more Terminator sets. You mean the Land Bolter? Yes, exactly. Ark and Land's fantabulous Land Bolter. Can you imagine that? Like, you've got the Nocturne Gallery, or whatever it's called, the labyrinth, where all the technology is hidden, and you've got... It's one of the most dangerous places in the galaxy. Like, anywhere. Not just, you know, the Outer Rim. It's on Terra, and it's one of the most dangerous places ever. Actually, it might be on Mars, I might be wrong, but never mind, it doesn't matter. The smartest man alive is like, yeah, hold my beer, I'm going inside. How the hell did the Emperor ever say okay to that? Why was he like, here, take this chapter of Space Marines with you? No, I'm good, I'll just go on my own, it's fine. No, I don't care. You're taking these... Rogel, go with him. I'm sending my son with you, Perturabo and Rogel Dawn. They're taking a shopping trolley. You bring back whatever the hell you can find. We're also sending you 10,000 Space Marines because I can't afford to lose you. Rogel, as you go in to this labyrinth of hell filled with technologies and secrets and horribleness from the age of technology, just start, like, building a wall as you go. Every, like, 30 feet, just build another little fortress for us. That way, if everything goes horribly tits up, we only have to fall back, like, 30 feet. And we'll just keep expanding behind you. Like, play it like an Age of Empires game. Just turtle your way through it. No beer holding, chug it first. Yep, that's it. He's probably like, I need you to go in there and find technology. But my lord, it's filled with the most terrible, horrible horrors of the entire dark age of technology. There are things in there that can demilitarize a man, that can pull his atoms apart. There are technologies in there I can't even talk about without going insane. And the Emperor's just like, pussy. Malcador would do it. Malcador's doing keg stands behind him. It's like, let's go! Aren't the Terminators in the final battle story who interrupted the battle between Horus and the Emperor using Stormbolters? Is that old retcon lore? I'm going to guess it's old lore. Because Stormbolters were supposed to be, or always were, a post-heresy invention. Because that's why Chaos Space Marines use combi bolters. And the guy who interrupted the battle was Old Pearson, or whatever his name is. Not a Terminator, not for a long time. I think he might have been a Custody Terminator at one point. Black Library's like, don't think about it. I'm going to think about it. I'm going to think about it so hard. And you can't stop me. I'm going to point out all the plot holes in your stories. Inconsistencies and stupid behaviour of the characters. Why? Because I can. You, a multi-billion pound company. Me, a man who's made 58p on YouTube advertisements today. Fight! Yeah, I'm sorry if all the adverts start turning up on the channel. I'm sure that's just what YouTube does when you become monetized. So please feel free to ad block my channel if you want. And alternatively, feel free to make super chats or whatever the fuck. I don't really care. I'm not your real dad. Or am I? No, 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 no. I'm going to build a time machine. I'm going to become all of your dads. You just didn't know that. Haha. I have the window open next to me to get some fresh air into this place, but it is pushing a draft across my foot, and it's actually making my foot hurt. I have a pair of slippers somewhere, but I don't know where. Nope. I found one. I have found a single slipper, and it's the right foot. Or more accurately, it's the left foot, the cold one. That's better. Toasty warm. Please continue to enjoy the premium audio quality of my creaky chair. Anybody else get a delivery email for the Battle Force? I've been told it should arrive either tomorrow or anywhere between now and the 30th, which is cool. Thank you, Matthew. I really appreciate that. He is. You are pushing the boat out. That's almost a packet of kimchi noodles. Like, what are you doing, man? The old art has been a good influence on me for making things that are cool instead of good in the game. Absolutely. Absolutely. There is a piece of artwork of a Death Guard heavy weapons team fighting a Contemptor Dreadnought with a multi-melter. And I think it's a World Eater's Dreadnought, and it's like swinging and missing him with a punch. And the melter gun is basically, surprisingly, melting the Dreadnought's chest. And it's all like liquefied and everything. I love that piece of artwork, and I have been desperately trying to find a way of effectively using the like 2 or 3 over-the-shoulder multi-melters I've got for it. But you can't give them to anything apart from a heavy support squad in a unit of 5. And it blows my mind why I can't have all sorts of weird and wonderful heavy weapons in my veteran squads. I should be able to give them a plasma cannon or a multi-melter or anything like that. Sure, you can cost it differently to, for balance reasons, but it just seems a bit dumb. So unfortunately, those multi-melters are doomed to sit in my bits box for all eternity until I need to make up the price to get free shipping on my China orders, and I order another, 3 or 4 of them. 7 of them to get them up to a 10-man squad. Which is probably what I'll end up doing anyway. Ooh, that's a bit thick. No, that's exactly 1, so you know how much I care from offering my kimchi. Yes, I do. I'm sure I will pay you back on Monday. Also, Ultramarines inductee, I think, are the only ones that can do that with weapons. Yeah, they are. Yeah, I think it's only missiles and heavy bolters they can take. Which I get, it's a throwback to the classic tactical squad box, but still. I do kind of miss the old veterans where they could take things like Tank Hunter and Machine Killer and stuff. Special rules. They were kind of cool. But I can understand that a bunch of veterans running around with combi melters that could kill nigh on any vehicle in the game was a little bit broken. Is CDR still in business over in China? I'm not entirely sure who you mean by CDR, so I'm going to say maybe. I remember seeing a post from, I think it was Andy Hoare himself actually, during first edition, where he had a plasma, I think it was a plasma Moritat, or it might have been a Volkite Moritat. It might have been a Volkite Moritat. Killed a Baneblade variant by landing behind it and just not failing any of the rolls to shoot it. And he just pumped out, I think the post said it was over 100 shots or something into the back of this Baneblade, and it finally killed it. Which I think is really funny. I understand why they changed it to you get 6 shots, not you keep shooting until you miss. Because that was a little ridiculous. Quote the final battle. Suddenly the battering stopped. To his good eye, the Emperor sees the solitary Terminator has entered the room. The Marine charges towards the Wallmaster, Stormbolter blazing. Yeah, well, that could have been it. Yep. That's what you get with 30 years of fluff that keeps changing. What we'll probably get nowadays is it'll be something along the lines of like, oh, a solitary Terminator steps into the fray, and Horus just obliterates him, and the Emperor doesn't care. The Emperor, too busy, acting as the Dark King, or whatever the hell they've decided to start calling him. Because apparently now we're tying in some random new plot point from the future that we need to just put in here. At literally the 11th hour, they're starting a new plot point in the heresy, with the Emperor referring to himself as the Dark King, or the Black King, or something like that. Oh, great, thanks. Brilliant. Oh, he's becoming the god of ruin and all this shit. I'm really hoping to get my hands on one of the old Visions of Heresy art books for a reasonable price for some old school inspirational pictures. Yeah, I need to get... So there's, as far as I remember, there's 4 Finn art books and 1 compilation, or there's technically 2. There's 2 prints of the big compilation. All of the artwork in all 4 is not present in the big one. There are certain bits missing. And there is, I'm not even joking, there is about 3, I think 2 or 3 images of the White Scars across all 4 books. That's it. And it's also some of the worst you've seen. The White Scars art in that book is absolutely terrible. The Death Guard stuff's pretty good. The Emperor's Children stuff's fantastic. The Sons of Horus stuff's really good. The Ultramarine stuff's really good. Even the stuff that's got is it Uriel Ventress looking like... Not Uriel Ventress, sorry. Oh, God, what's his name? Not Feel, the other one. Doesn't matter. He basically looks like the man with no name. Clint Richards. Not Clint. God, my brain doesn't work anymore. Who's the guy that's in all the cowboy films? Damn it. Clint Eastwood. Yeah, there's a piece of artwork where they've quite clearly used Clint Eastwood's face for it. I'm going insane. They've made Sultarovitz. Sultarovitz looks like he belongs in like 1800s London, in the pea soup of Victorian London. 'Cause he's got his great big shaggy mutton chop style sideburns. There's loads of stuff that's got the wrong label on it. Yeah, absolutely. There's like, oh, this is a Death Guard. No, this is an Emperor's Children captain, and it's quite clearly a Death Guard. All sorts of stuff like that in there. Games Workshop's editors just, don't even turn up nowadays. The Red Angel's in there with Ahriman already wearing blue. There is a cool picture. The picture of the Red Angel. You've got this Blood Angel in the middle that's being like forcibly possessed, and then all of the Primarchs and Horus and all that behind him, or around him, and some demons and stuff. And then there's this bit here. You've got Ahriman stood here, and behind him is one of the Thousand Sons in the blue Rubrique style armor, but he's got his helmet off and he's holding it like at his waist, so he's still just a normal person, and that's really cool. I like that. But again, it's wrong because they're not supposed to be wearing blue at that point. I don't think there's a depiction of Perturabo in there. I don't think there's a picture of Rogel Dawn. There is Sanguinius. There is Rabute Gilliman, I think, is in there. Mortarian's definitely in there. Angron's in there. Very little pictures of Horus. No pictures of Vulcan. Very few pictures of salamanders at all in those books. Yeah, they're good. They're good books, but they're very heavy-handed in one direction. Like, they cover a lot of Death Guard, a lot of Emperor's Children, a lot of World Eaters. So many World Eater pictures in those books. Ultramarines are in there a lot, and Sons of Horus are in there a lot. I always think there should be more, and I'm like, is there are there other chapters? And I'm like, no, that's it. There's only 18 of them. Gotta go. Catch you later, buddy. I know you got to go. You got an early evening. Have a good one. I'll get that. I'll ping you a PM when I get that in the post with the tracking number for you. Yeah, lots of Istvan 3, lots of Calth. Yeah, they didn't have a lot of the heresy kind of knocked down at that point. I'd love to see another art book. If you guys look at any of the stuff that's on the card game Horus Heresy Legends, I'd love to get an art book filled with HD images of that stuff, because some of that artwork is really cool. Especially the stuff that's basically just straight up stolen from the community. That's funny. Every couple of weeks you'll see someone post on Reddit, hey, my model's been turned into a card on this card game. Oh man, I'm really taking a while to do these guys. I still want to see more about Calth. I like Calth. The Honoured is a really good audiobook as well to listen to. That's the storyline of the Betrayal at Calth board game. That's pretty cool. And shows how badass Terminator armor is as the Terminators walk across the surface of Calth as it's broiling under the sun. And they just end up charred and black, but they survive. I have a folder with art that I can send you. Yeah, man, that'd be great. That'd be cool. I've got a lot of it myself, but if you can send me more, that'd be cool. It's always good picking, especially it's finding high definition images of a lot of the artwork is hard. You can find them and it's like, oh great, oh it's 400 pixels squared, great. I have an art folder myself, which is actually what I use for my my backgrounds on my monitors. And it's just set to cycle through them bit by bit. Yeah. I'm hoping we get a good Calth book for the Heresy. I wonder what the next campaign book's going to be. I hope they don't all follow the Lion and his like vengeance crusade, because that will get old really fast. So, oh, he lands at Barbaros and bombs it, and it's no longer a thing. Oh, he goes to Shemos and bombs it, so it's no longer a thing. That's just going to be lazy writing. He gets to Nostromo, and they bomb it before he gets there, because those guys are weird. Every new month I'm asking myself the same question. If I put my hobby budget into completing my Heresy 2.0 rulebook collection, or simply more models? Ooh, yeah. Problem is that models is tempting. It depends how much you play. If you play a lot, rulebooks is probably a better investment. Are you one of those people that paints your models before you use them, or are you one of those people that runs around with a grey army? Because you could use it as an excuse to like, hey, I can only buy more models once these are finished, or I can only buy some more rulebooks once these are finished, or whatever. What I'm trying to get to is paint your models. Paint your damn models. I need to get some more transfers. The problem is I don't want to spend like £60 on transfers. Damn it, why can't we have recasters for transfers? I do like these Mark II Marines. They are massive though. They're about 10% bigger than average Marines, so about Primera scale. Which is fine, if I'd known that. I wasn't paying attention when I ordered them, because I'm an idiot. By the way, back to Knights Errant, what army would best represent them? Probably... Ooh. I would probably use... They weren't all Psychers, but lots of them were. So Thousand Suns could work. But actually, I'm going to go with Alpha Legion. I think Alpha Legion would be the best option, because you've got a lot of the upgrades they can take make them like better in close combat, which would be a good sort of indicator. You know, these guys are all supposed to be pretty badass. You know, Malcador's not hiring useless soldiers. The rewards treachery obviously lets you take some more specialised stuff, so if you wanted to do a bunch of like, I don't know, Iron Warrior, missile terminators, whatever they're called, dominators or whatever it is, can't remember. You know, you could do that. So I'd probably say Alpha Legion if I'm going to be brutally honest, and I know that doesn't sound pretty fun. Other than that, maybe Ultramarines or Thousand Suns. Yeah, Ultramarines or Thousand Suns probably. Yeah. So, more models is 1 over 9 months for the building and painting of an army is equal to play with probably. Yeah. I mean, do you need the rulebook, Mark? That's the question, you know. Is it an army you're building that you don't have the rulebook for? In that case, it's pretty sensible. Buy the rulebook. There's nothing worse than, you know, picking the rules up, checking them, and then realising actually you've made a mistake and you can't build the army you want to build. That always kind of, you know, sucks. Is everything painted? Like, don't keep buying if you've got stuff that isn't built and painted. That's something I'm really struggling with at the moment. Makes a lot of sense, honestly. That is not something I have been accused of much in my life. Normally it's Bando, shut up. Bando, no one cares. God, doesn't he talk a lot? Doesn't he make weird noises? These paints are nice, but get a vortex mixer for them. If you guys ever want to know what painting was like back in like 4th edition, pick up these paints, shake them by hand, and try and use them. That is what like every paint we had to deal with was this horrible separating, greasy mess. And this has got like 2 mixing balls in it, and it's still not doing it right. So. Oh no. I've just flopped Warlock Purple onto my mouse mat. Well, it'll go well with the spilt super glue and all of the ingrained gritty basing material I've slapped on there by accident. Yeah, you see how transparent that is? That's kind of what like every paint was like. This is like would have been the worst kind of one, but they were all kind of like that. So we are so unbelievably spoilt with our paint nowadays. Yeah, it would scare you, just the difference. You kids don't know what's going on. You just don't know how good you've got it. I touched up a load of the bits where I got things like gold and other bits of colour with the dark purple I used. So now I'm just going to go back and try and blend that in so the dark purple doesn't stand out so much. Like on this guy's shoulder pad, where you can see the bar at the bottom. Yeah, we really are spoilt with our mono pigment, non-separating, wonderful, gorgeous paints. Haven't even done the rim of this shoulder pad, so I need to go back and do that one at some point. How do I even miss a whole shoulder pad like that? Have you had the issue of the lid on the coat d'arms paint breaking? No, but I have had it on a P3 paint. So I lost all of my Niles green thanks to that happening. Mechanicum is so expensive that high price accidentally prevents the pile of shame from building up. I'm simply financially not able to buy overbuy Mechanicum models. It's a nice problem to have, it really is. I'd love to do my Mechanicum army. The test models I started building are made out of a mixture of Dilac, Gangers and Skitari. So yeah, these were going to be my tech thralls for a Dark Mechanicum force. But I don't think I'll be able to because, again, it's probably going to be prohibitively expensive. Because Necromunda gangs are not cheap, unfortunately. I don't think this is going to cover this purple at all. I think it's too transparent. Oh well. Just go over and make sure no one's got any serious damage or gold splashed anywhere and just cover that up instead. I think it's from one of the books where the word bearers go back to Ultramar to rescue a specific marine and the Terminators who drag him aboard the Storm Eagle are to burn by the Life Eater virus. What's that from? Sorry, Rutger. Assuming you've then added a comment miles up this list. Let me have a quick look for it. No, I can't find it. Tech thralls, I'm not taking that army building weight. Yeah, you do need a lot of them. That's the problem. It's just there's not. I don't know. Like if any army needs the old Build-A-Bear rules, it's Mechanicum. Mechanicum should get rules a bit like these new demon rules, where it's just like, hey, go crazy. Like this is a medium-sized one. These are light ones. Buy the upgrades. Build them how you want. There's some really good Mechanicum art in those books, actually, and yeah, those are some of the really good ones where they've got like these giant combi weapons on tripods and weird tech thralls and Skitari and all sorts of weird and wonderful, horrible tech abominations. But again, a lot of the artwork was done before they even had an army list, so... Oh. This smells like classic Games Workshop. So, this is classic Games Workshop paints. Coat d'Arms were the original company that made Games Workshop paints. So, this is actually the same formula as it was when they had the white-topped paint pots. And it's... Oh, the smell is just sending me back to being about 6 years old. I've got no friends. I've just pooped my pants. It's cold. Thomas Fox has just told all the other members of my class not to let me play Warhammer because he doesn't like me. Ah, childhood. Quite happy with the faces. I don't think I can get them in focus very well, but no, the camera's not doing it. Not doing it justice, unfortunately. But that's what it's like. It is what it is. This paint behaves almost like a thick glaze. What kind of chunky glaze is with Bando? I had a single pot of enamel paint when I was that sort of age. It was neon orange, like traffic cone orange, and I just didn't understand why it would kill my brushes every single time I used it. I remember I had a war dancer, a wood elf war dancer model that I'd got from a car boot sale, and I painted his mohawk this neon orange. I give up with this purple, it's not worth it. And I'm getting it everywhere. It's all on my fingers. My troops are 2 times 6 times Thalax with melters and 4 Castellax with Darkfire cannons. Yeah, that's the sort of army I'd like to build if those were in plastic. But I'm not spending as much as a small car on, you know, half a dozen models. That's the problem. I really want to get to the, is it the Thanatar, the really big one with like the gravity hammer, or the giant grav bombard thing. I really want one of those for my Iron Hands. I want to do a Brethren of Iron list with one of those, a couple of like Domitars or something. And the pictures make it look massive. But when you look at it scaled against other models, it's not as big, and it's kind of disappointing. Because I really wanted it to be... I wanted to do like a Contemptor Dreadnought on its knees, like blown apart. And he'd be standing with one leg up on it, like that he'd crushed it. But it doesn't work because he's only moderately bigger than a Contemptor Dreadnought himself. How much is Mechanicum from Recast? Well, let's have a quick look, see, shall we? Mechanicum. Come. So, the Mechanicum Thanatar Siege Automatar, which is the one I was talking about, from Forge World, is a whopping £99 sterling. Hi Bryce, I'm doing well, how are you? Which is this bad boy. Whereas he's $49.99 from China. So yeah, half price. What else have we got here? a pack of 3 Mechanicum Vorax Battle Automata is $33.09. A Mechanicum Domitar Battle Automata. I'm never going to say it right because it looks wrong to me. Automata is $28.07, which, for those of you who want to know the conversion, that's £23. £23 for a Domitar class robot is 100% what I'd pay, or what I want to pay in the UK. You know, £25 for a Domitar, spot on. You know, that works for me. That's not a bad price. That is what I think would be a fair price. Castellax are $24, which is £20. £20 for a Castellax. Okay, £20 for a Castellax in resin, I think is a fair price. And would make the army still expensive, but definitely doable. Thalax, they're under $20. Ursarex, under $20. Tech Thralls with Laslocks, $11 for 5. Yeah, so the Arcastus Knight Asterius, $184. Same as the Mechanicum Ordinatus Achaetus, the drill. The Ordinatus Eulator is $164. Here's the real kicker, boys. The Mechanicum Cerastus Knight Atropos. Well, the Cerastus Knights are £100 in plastic now. This is a fully resin Mechanicum Knight for $93. It is cheaper by £30 for me to buy a resin Knight than it is to buy the plastic one. And it has free shipping. What the fuck? What else is in that recast basket? I don't think I've got anything in my basket on this one. No, I've got nothing in my basket. Let me just see if I've got anything, if I've signed in. Nope, nothing in that basket. In my other website that I use, however, the other basket, which is the better one, I have Apothecary parts, Alpha Legion heads, Dreadnought parts. Enough parts to make 2 box Dreadnoughts, and the parts to make the Praetor for the Alpha Legion, and the parts to convert 3 Mark III Marines into Apothecaries, for a whopping total of $45. Throw in the monthly code, because they give you a code to knock some money off anyway. $41. So that's about 30 quid. Yeah. So, why are so many people buying recasts? Could it possibly be something to do with the fact that it's basically half price, if not better, than Games Workshop? It's sickening. It shouldn't be a thing, but it is. And if you want to see the quality, for those of you who've never ordered anything from China like that, it's fine. I'm looking forward to painting these guys. I need to finish them. Oh, pardon me. So yeah, there's lots of models I want that are just not practical, Mark. lots of them. I'd never take a Warlord Titan, for example, in a game, but I'd love to paint one eventually. A lot of the super heavy tanks I don't think are practical, but I'd love to paint some of them. 90% of the stuff I've got at the moment I haven't got storage space for, so I shouldn't be buying any more anyway. Yeah, I'm going to need to be radically rethinking my storage solution for my models, because at the moment it's just getting too much. Which is silly, you know. I shouldn't put myself in problems like that. What should I do on this guy's tilt shield? He's got one. I don't want to leave it purple. What should I do with it? Mac has the best way to describe recast quality. It's like DVD bootleggers. Some of them are dog shit, but some of them rip the masters. That's it. Yeah. So that was actually a problem for a while for Games Workshop. They didn't tell anyone, but they were actually casting some of their models in China, and then they stopped casting their stuff in China because they found out that the recasters were using their own molds. At night, they were basically, it was the same guys working in their factory were working as the recasters, and they were using their own molds to make some models. Which is why I think they've moved all of their... I think they still do terrain in China. I think Badger Games in China are still producing GW kits. A lot of the stuff that's like boxed games with like that lower quality plastic. Ugh. Stuff like this, I'm pretty sure, are produced by Badger Games. This does say it's produced in the UK, so maybe I'm wrong. Manufactured by Games Workshop Limited, Willow Row, Nottingham. Represented by Games Workshop Limited, Irish branch. Oh, come on, Games Workshop's doing that weird tax thing as well. You cheeky bastards. GW has registered itself in Ireland for the tax benefits, which means they'd probably be paying almost no income tax. Fuck them, I don't feel bad about using recasters at all. Yeah, I want to do a video on my storage situation eventually, but I need to tidy my workshop up, because every time my housemate wants to do his laundry, he takes my clothes that are drying off the radiators and just dumps them in the workshop. So there's a big pile of like semi-clean clothes by the door that need moving. So yeah, I'll get around to eventually doing a proper tour of the tour of my setup, and you guys can see, you know, all the stupid shit I've got. The OG the black books were printed in China. Yeah, I think all of the books are printed in China. It's just cheaper. So I looked at how much it would cost to print my book in the UK, and I would have to print. It's over thousands. It's more like, you know, several tens of thousands of copies to get the individual cost per item below £20 a book, which was just unbelievably unfeasible. But then you go to China and the same thing is like, oh yeah, we'll print you 600 copies of this book for £5 each, that's no problem. Which is, you know, it's annoying. We've kind of let everything slip out to China. Which is, you know, it's annoying because it's hurting our own economy by doing it. But I'm under no illusions. I know I'm part of the problem. I'm not part of the solution. So yeah. Oh well. Yeah, most of the plastic terrain does come from China, which is ridiculous why they charge so much for it. Like, if you want anything to be cheap, it's your terrain. Because you want people to buy loads of it. I know I've shown this off before. Like, let me show this off again. Open image, a new tab. So this is what like your average bolt action game looks like. There's loads of terrain. All of this is like light cover and hard cover and stuff. Whereas if this was a 40k game, you'd have one like bit of terrain here, one bit of terrain here, one bit of terrain here. Everyone's army would be here, everyone's army would be here. Barely anything moved. Like, one tank might move from there to there during the entire game, and that's it. There's no tactics. It's all just like roll dice at each other. If you had a game where you've got like line of sight blocking terrain and, you know, actual tactical thinking, so like, oh yeah, I can move my tank through this area, but it's going to be slow. Oh, my infantry have got to spend a turn climbing over these walls to get through here. But if I can do that, and I can survive the fire from this enemy tank, then we can get to the objective. Like, instead of going all the way around, you know, that sort of thing. Make it more interesting. But yeah, 40k game. Let's see, table. You see, it's just... That's it, that's perfect. No, go away. That perfectly encapsulates it. That's all they've got. And everything's just going to deploy along here. It'll all pile into like these two spots right here. And that will be where the battle is fought. There's nothing. There's no movement. There's no tactics in it. There's no like, oh, I'm going to, you know, place my unit here to watch this road because it will, you know, cuts off this artery of movement for the enemy. It's tiny tables for too big a scale games now. Especially, you know, we're like, oh, 3,000 point army minimum, and, you know, it covers the entire table edge with stuff. It's nuts, it really is. I'm curious that GW4 World never released a dedicated heresy terrain range, excluding the Mortalis terrain. I mean, I'm not, because there's very little you want that's heresy only. What they could have done is used it as an opportunity to expand on the 40k range. For example, the Sector Mechanicus bases, I really like them. I think the Sector Mechanicus bases are great and one of the best things GW's released in decades. Same with all the other plastic injection bases they do, which have got stuff on them. But why have we not had something that's like this? You know, where's the Temple base? Where's the Prospero base? You know, you give us a base which has got flagstones on it, because that can be used for Age of Sigmar. It can be used for 40k. It can be used for 30k. You know, a ruined temple base without any sort of details on it. Put maybe some like extra bits on the sprue, like some rocks or some vines, or maybe like an Egyptian, some cartouches and stuff. You know, like the scarabs or whatever. You've then got bases that can be used for your Seraphon, for 40k armies. You've got it for 30k armies, all sorts. And you'd sell loads of them. Absolutely loads of them. And it's really simple. It's literally... Because what they do is when they make these things, is they make a tile, basically, like they do for the Necromunda tiles. And then what you do is you just put a load of circles on it and you boolean it to cut the circles out. Well, it's a grid. You just build a grid and then you've extruded the grid out and slightly shrunk it, so now you've got your squares, and then you've hand sculpted on the cracks using something like ZBrush, but you've probably created a large textured brush, and you can just go blip and apply it to the whole thing, and it'll just randomize the cracks for you. You can look through it and go, do I like this? Can I change it? Maybe make some of the squares bigger, some of the squares smaller, and that's it, you're done. And then, hell, you could release that as, do that, and then release them as terrain squares as well, you know, as the tiles. People would buy those. 100% people would buy those. Yeah, vehicle facings need to come back, in my opinion. I'm surprised vehicle facings ever went away. That's definitely something I'd bring back as vehicle facing. Just for tanks, don't bother with things like dreadnoughts and stuff, just tanks. And it has to be true line of sight, so am I hitting the side or am I hitting the front? It's 45 degrees, so, you know, my tank is here. Let's use this. Why not actually use a tank? I have a tank right next to me. So, you know, if the guy's shooting from here, am I hitting the front? Am I hitting the side? Well, it's 45 degrees. So what we want is something that's got a 45 degree angle on it, and basically just do that on top of it. Yeah, you're hitting this side. You're hitting the side armor. You know, it wasn't hard to work out those arguments. It only became a proper argument if someone was being a bell end. This is the worst part of these old Rogue Trader Land Raiders, was these things. These snap instantly. Doesn't matter how careful you are. I think that was broken. I think I might re-glued that one. Yeah. I don't look at this enough. It's a great little tank. This is older than some of you guys. I never noticed it's got card or something on the bottom. I got that second hand from a club mate and repainted it. Prospero terrain. Yep, I want Prospero terrain. It'd be great. Didn't GW want us to make our own terrain back in the day? Yeah, like they absolutely did. That was something they regularly had in their books, in their codexes, in White Dwarf, was terrain tutorials. They had one which taught me how to make an Empire townhouse from a cereal box by cutting out... so you'd have 2 rectangles, 2 squares... Oh, it wasn't a square, it was a square with a triangle at the top. And then 2 more rectangles. And you had the 2 long rectangles with the side walls, the 2 squares with the triangles were your end walls, and then your roof just sat like that. And that was it. That was how you made a cheap house. And that's kind of what led to the MDF terrain being made. It's the same principle. Yeah. The Tourist of Prospero is an Easter egg. Oh man, that was good. If you guys don't know about that, one of the photo... In a lot of the black books, they used a lot of real photos, and then they superimposed like Marines into them. And in one, they forgot to Photoshop out a guy who's like on holiday in Egypt or something that they've used this stock photo from. So there's just some guy in like sunglasses, like walking around with a camera. Yeah, so I'd like to see vehicle facings come back. I'd like to see the average size of games go down. You know, 3,000 points is great, but on a board that they seem to be making the board smaller. You know, I don't want 200 models. There's too much going on. You know, 3-4 squads tops of guys, a couple of tanks. Or just make the armies, like the tables bigger. Yeah, then GW noticed they didn't sell empty cereal boxes. Oh yeah. So one of the things they used to do was, back in second-ish edition, you could buy your boxes, they were metal models. So they came in polystyrene. and you'd open up the box and slide the polystyrene out, and there would be 2 big compartments and then like 4 smaller compartments. So you'd get like all the bodies, or like half the bodies in one, half the bodies in another. All the separate bits might be individual men, or arms, or anything interesting. And then you'd get some bases with them. The bases actually used to come on little sprues of their own. You'd get like 4 of them, like this. Then a little X sprue in the middle you had to break up. Or these polystyrene things, we used to just break apart. You'd break out all the sections so they looked like they were doors or walls blown out, and then you'd paint it with PVA glue or something, and you'd like spray it Chaos Black and dry brush it grey. There you go. You had a ruin instantly. And you learned very quickly not to put spray paint on bare polystyrene, because it then looked like Tyranid terrain. Thousand Sons Army are on life support this edition. Absolutely. They need a severe redo. I don't know how you would do it, but yeah, they need fixing badly. Which kind of sucks, because, they're a cool army. 200 models is fine in a unit-based game. I don't know, Bryce. Maybe if it was at 20mm scale or 15mm scale, I'd agree with you. But at a 32mm scale, that's just taking up too much space. I just think that, there's too many things on the table. Like this, I wouldn't want to put, if we were playing, say, a 3 foot by 3 foot board, which is what you play some games on, like skirmish games, a 20-man tactical squad is too much space for a 3 foot by 3 foot board. There's just too many units there. I've seen Warhammer basing bits on eBay Etsy that convert empty cans into things. Yeah, that was another thing. There would be tin cans with straws coming out of them to look like pipes. They used to do cardboard where... grab a piece of cardboard and show you. You can see here how the cardboard is corrugated in the middle. And they'd show you like ripping off one edge so you could use the bit in the middle to look like corrugated iron on like roofs of stuff. Yeah, that was the sort of terrain stuff they would show off. Yeah, so that's kind of it. Making your Legion trait not disappear by the opponent just having a squad with Nemesis bolters might help. Yeah. It's a little difficult because like having an entire army of Psykers is going to be incredibly hard to balance. So maybe just the Psykers being, the sergeants and the units around them being helping everyone else. I don't know. It's very difficult. Like, I think we need something to be more like the Rubricae. So how they're described in the Burning of Prospero as coming out of the pyramids, and they're all firing as one, moving like automatons. It's described. So maybe it's like, I don't know, maybe it's like -1 to hit if another unit has shot at them, so they're all working together in thing. Give them something like the Mordians used to have like gunnery rights. I can't remember what it was called exactly, but basically, if you had your unit set up so they were in like a gun line like this, all in a straight line within, they weren't just a rabble, they were actually set up, they got bonuses to hit and that sort of thing. Maybe something like that for the entire army. And then obviously having all of their normal psychic gubbins. But it kind of looks like they were like, oh hey, we need to nerf them, and they took ideas from different people, and instead of going, oh, which one of these ideas should we use, they just implemented all of them. And it kind of sucks. I made a glass wall for terrain out of a screen protector and some cork the other day. That's cool. Yeah. I used to use the clear plastic in blister packs like this. You'd slice a bit of this out, cut it into triangles, and you could use it to fill in windows and make looks like broken glass. One of these days, I'm gonna describe something like that and not have something at hand I can use to describe it. People are still good at making things. It's just GW doesn't like it. Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, building terrain is fun. I might do a video on it at some point of how I take just a normal GW piece of terrain and add the details to it, because I don't like just, you know, building a piece of terrain and plopping it on that. I like to base it as much as the models. I'm sure you guys have seen in the past my pictures of my terrain. Let's see if I can find a picture of my Raven Guard or something sat on it. Well, there you go, that'll do. Oh, golly. So that's one of my boards. I'm building some squares for a Prospero board. I need to finish that. Yeah, that was a nice project, but it's a bit time consuming, and boy is it triggering if you've got the TISM and you don't get those lines straight. But I need to work out how to finish the edges to make them tougher so they don't get like knocked in as much. 1,000 Sun should be powerful but risky. Yeah, I can see that. I mean, the normal sort of like psychic power stuff where, you know, you've got perils of the warp tests and stuff is fine for that. Just like, oh, I'm going to do something really cool, but I could turn myself inside out. Wow, I haven't posted anything Raven Guard related like that in a while. Nope. Nope. That was a base for the tank I did. I was quite happy with that. That was a semi-commission piece. Ah, there we go. No, we're not going to show any more off. Okay. I need to get back onto my Raven Guard at some point. I really haven't touched them properly in ages. There you go, that's some of my storage stuff. That's every shelf of that is now absolutely jam-packed with models. There is zero space in that cabinet. Even the bottom here now is filled with stuff. And all these tanks have moved onto a different shelf. And this shelf here, this is all filled all the way to the back. Even got like models piled on top of models now. And the bases, you know, the old Sector Mechanicus bases, I love detailing those. I think it's great fun to just go a bit crazy and make them a bit more interesting. How do I keep them dust free? That's my secret, Mike. I just don't dust them or take them out. There you go. That's the broken glass I was talking about. That's some bolt action snipers for my Russians. And there's the other one. I wanted to do a whole board in like this. just loads of detail. But it's difficult to store stuff like that. There's some more of the ultramarine bases. These were all inspired by Night Fane, that book I told you about, with the underwater stuff. And steak. I like posting steak, okay? Don't hate me. It's all food and space marines, boys. There we go, that's a good one. It shows you some more of the terrain I did. Some of the Mars themed stuff. And my good old Sons of Horus. Yeah, it was a spring from a mechanical pencil that I'd run out of the lead from, so I just pulled it out and sort of pulled it apart and just bent it and clipped it into place. Was that a Mark III Marine box? Probably. Yeah. That's just the plastic. Oh, what's it called? Wall of Martyrs, the old Wall of Martyrs, and then I just based it and just blended it into the terrain with loads of sand and modelling putty and stuff. More steak, more steak, more steak. Love steak. Steak the best. Don't hate steak. Steak, 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 steak. 3D printer. Steak, 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 steak. Puppies. Noodles. My legs. My bow. My very rare camouflage patterns. And my spider dread. At this point was just before COVID kicked off. Oh my god, it's a Mark VII Marine, but in Sons of Horus colours. What am I doing? It was a test Marine. It feels like so long ago because it was 3 years ago. I think that was supposed to be a Seeker squad. I should redo them at some point. Yeah. I might strip those guys and move them over to my Raven Guard, and then redo the Seekers as a proper Sons of Horus Seeker squad. It's words to live by, boys. Words to live by. Oh, I miss those. I miss those box sets. And more poles. More metal poles that I'll be doing on Thursday. So many metal poles. And a repainted A-wing, because, you know, why not? Because once you get into this hobby, you start painting everything. I'm not doing a Primaris Sons of Horus. That was a test model because I didn't have any Mark IV Marines. But it was also the first time I ever did an oil wash. I was like, oh wow, oil washes are really hard to do. They're really advanced. I'll give it a go. And I watched the tutorial and I thought, oh, okay, I'll try it. And yeah, I mean, it came out better than I could possibly imagine. And it was easier than I could possibly imagine. And I'm looking at it now and I still think it's a great looking model. In fact, I think that looks better than some of my more modern Sons of Horus. That's kind of depressing. but it was also some of the first times I'd used an airbrush. There you go, my Death Guard, which I haven't touched in a very long time. I literally think it's just the 4 of them. I don't think I've actually... They were painted green and I couldn't stand them, so I decided to repaint them. And what's to say Fabulous Bill isn't going to learn how to make Primaris, though? There's not much stopping Chaos from getting Primaris Marines. Chaos has already got Primaris Marines. If you look at like the new Tech Marine, for example, he not Tech Marine, but the Chaos version of the Tech Marine, whatever he's called. They've got the Mark like 10 backpack, the little round thing on it. They've already got Mark 10 Tacticus armor. They've basically already got Primaris Marines. It's over. Billions will die. Okay. Zartan from G.I. Joe, right? I always thought Zartan was the most baller son of a bitch ever, because I thought he had some fucking 1980s, 1970s metal hair, and this dude was just running around with cool looking long, like, you know, long hair. No, it turns out it's a hood. My entire childhood I was lied to. Zartan is wearing a hood. He's not got long hair. This is why I have trust issues. This is why I have trust issues. Zartan should have long hair. Hashtag Zartan should have long hair. So much steak. Steak. This guy's going to get repainted as soon as I can bring myself to strip it. I'm sure Zartan does like black metal, though. Look, here's proof that even I did Primaris Marines briefly. And couldn't stand them. Couldn't stand them. Here's something completely not Warhammer related. Some figures from the Will Hayes movie Oh Mr. Porter, which was filmed in the village I grew up in, and my grandfather helped make the film. More Primaris, just to prove that actually I have painted Primaris at some point in my life. I don't mind the Phobos armoured Primaris. I think they kind of look okay. As like generic sci-fi. I think I like them because they've got smaller bolters. Maybe if they'd had like thin but still normal shaped legs. I don't know. They're okay, but they're not great. I don't like the Reaver helmets, though. I can't stand those. A pretty weathered SU-152. Yes, there was. No, that's not that. That's the KV. Do. There we go. Yeah, so I like tanks. Tanks are cool. This is supposed to be a late winter, early spring kind of army. So the snow is definitely melting. It's very muddy. They've not bothered reapplying their whitewash because why would they? The snow's all starting to melt. But because the snow's starting to melt, there's a lot of like water about, so things are getting rusty and muddy. So fun story about that one. When I tried to do it using hairspray chipping, it blew all the green paint off of the body of the tank. And I had to start again from scratch, which was really, really annoying. Yeah, but that's how I do my big tank chipping. Is I start with a base coat that is the brown rusty undercover, then I give it a layer of green, brown, then hairspray, then green, then and I chip it then. So I chip back where I want it. And then I varnish it, and then hairspray, and then white, and then I chip it again. Unfortunately, somehow the water got underneath the green layer, and it reactivated and caused it all to fly off. Is the Death Guard going to be repurposed for the Siegitary Death Guard army? No, that will be using the Forge World, the old Forge World upgrade kit, and Heresy models. Yeah, that'll be done because it's 2 Unit of 3 jet bikes, a Proteus speeder, an HQ on jet bike. It's like 9 models or so. So yeah, it's not much. Wait, this isn't hair. I'm seeing it for the first time. Yep. Speaking of Fomus helmets, I don't like any of the models without helmets on. Even the Sisters of Battle are more aesthetically pleasing with helmets, in my opinion. Anyway, hey, that's completely up to you. Yeah, the helmets are cool. I do like trying to keep guys wearing helmets, but sometimes a bare head does look kind of cool. Especially the 50/50 ones with the lower visor, or whatever you call it, rebreather. I always liked that. That was a test model for a militia army I was thinking of doing a while back. And that was going to be a sniper for them. And more random militia models. Belgium's sweating right now. White Scars Esoterist. More tanks with more chipping. What hairspray do I use? Or what does the hairspray do? So the hairspray basically creates a layer that can reactivate with water. So when you reactivate it, you can lift off the layer above and you can just pick away the paint. You can do the same with a lot of different materials. Yeah, that was my original Death Guard scheme. They had all these lines to make it look a bit like wood. And it was obviously just the normal green. It was a conversion I was quite happy with. Was a Death Guard Hellbrute. I think we're just having a fucking trip down memory lane now, me looking at my old models. And pictures of my dogs. And all the food. And naked Danny DeVito. Dwarfs. It's a pity that the Masters of the Chapter miniatures are so tiny. If I was to put them up against these new Empress Children I've been working on, they'd almost be half the size. It's just sickening how small they are. But yeah, I did like working on this guy. There you go. I talked about that on a video a while back, using bits from an old coffee machine that broke at work. I'm far too lazy to edge highlights, so chipping it is. Try sponging, Rutger. Sponging works really, really well for that. You don't need to worry about chipping using hairspray. Just use a sponge instead. Here goes. Evidence I once did a Sons of Medusa army. Many, many, many moons ago. Have I got... Where can I show off some decent chipping? I don't know. I miss Mark II armour. I do miss Mark II armour. I want more Mark II armour. I pulled apart a Brita water filter to get the little balls out to do that. It looks horrible. But yeah, I'm not a big fan of like the teeth. I mean, they're fun to paint, but I don't think they kind of fit aesthetically for the Death Guard. Same with all the tentacles. If it was just broken, like run down, cracked and seepy and bloated armour, I'd much prefer it. Yeah. All the way back. Yep. Chipping. Okay, this will do. So, yeah, what I do here is I use my highlight colour and I chip that first. So sponge that on with the chipping, and then that's where I choose where, like, the edges are where the most wear is going to be. So that's why I'm using this light green, this Gorse Blaster green for. Because whatever you're chipping, it's going to get to a lighter colour first. And then I can either go back with my deeper chipping colour, so my metallic, my dark brown, my red, whatever I'm using for that. The contrast colour, the colour you really want to stand out. And then you just use it in the most dense areas, so right on the corners and the edges, and where the damage is going to be the most. And by doing that, you're automatically highlighting and tricking the eye into thinking that there is multiple levels of paint there. So that's how I do it, Rutger. And then obviously with this, it looks better when it's all had its oils and stuff, and it's all dulled down a bit. Don't know if I've got any others that can show that. There you go. Yeah, you can see there it's all dulled down a bit more. So yeah, that's what I would do if you're going to do, you know, chipping and stuff. I like the idea of squads of novice sisters having no helmet because their faith in the Emperor will protect them while the veterans know better. Yeah, but you would think that the veterans would also have more faith in the Emperor, so. Also, for service of the Long War. Yep, the Long War is the best war, then. Right. It's been 2.5 hours. It's midnight. I'm going to have to drop off. I've not eaten this evening, so I'm going to see if I can scrounge myself up some food. Thank you guys very much for coming along. I always appreciate you being here. Thanks for letting me ramble and just, you know, pottle down memory lane. If you guys have any questions, drop me a message. Yeah. Alright guys, thank you very much. Have a good evening. Do I magnetise my weapon loadouts on tanks and mechs, Bandos? My White Scars Dreadnoughts are all magnetised. No one else is magnetised because I prefer just building more models, if I'm going to be brutally honest. Like these tanks, these rhinos, these are all stuck together, but the command one has this back panel can be taken out and replaced with a normal one, and that's it. Like, I think, it's also got a normal turret. I can get rid of the multi-melter. So yeah, I do, just not all my models, just some of them. I've been moving away from it because I prefer building the character, and I'd rather do that than magnetize it. So there you go. Okay, guys, thank you very much. If you don't subscribe, what have you done for the last 2.5 hours? But feel free. I'll be doing another giveaway in the future. So, yeah, probably wait till I hit 2,500 or 5,000 for that. But, yeah, we seem to be doing really well, guys. Thank you very much for watching. Really appreciate it. Don't forget to go check out Macca's channel and have a look at his conversion request. He's asked people to send over pictures to him. So if you've got something you're proud of, drop it over to him